All right, protest over the proposed cattle trade ban peak in the south of India. These protests coming in from IIT Madras there. The reason why students protesting, because they want the perpetrators who beat up a student who was participating in the beef festival. They want them to be arrested and action to be taken. Well, not just students, protests have also broken out where the politicians are concerned. DMK also protesting in Tamil Nadu today. But these visuals on your television screen, students demanding the expulsion of the other students who were involved in the altercation with a beef festival participant at IIT Madras. All right, I want to immediately go to my colleague Akshata, who's joining us live with the very latest on what's taking place, where massive protest all across Chennai today. Akshata, it's over to you. Get us up to speed with the latest.
Well, Preeti, at this point, we're still seeing quite a bit of tension on the streets of Chennai. Just about 15 minutes from now, before this, we had protests taking place with a group coming together, slamming the notification, slamming the state government, saying that the government is not taking a stand, but also extending their support to Sooraj. Interestingly, we here at India Today have tried to put out as many versions of what really happened. You have one group, Sooraj's friends, who are coming out and saying that he was cornered by 6 to 8 people in a mess when he was having lunch yesterday, and that's when, of course, this altercation took place and he was injured. Another group that just spoke to me some time back has maintained that, look, this was a fight between only 2 people and there is absolutely nothing wrong within the campus. Everything is as peaceful as it usually is. But it's also spread across Chennai, hasn't it, Preeti? As you rightly pointed out, politically as well, the DMK has jumped into this raging fire. Besides that, we've seen student organizations coming together. But I think also at this point, the onus is on the IIT Madras administration. What I have in my hands here are 3 emails that were sent by Manish, who is now lying on a hospital bed with a fractured arm. These 3 emails were sent to the director of IIT Madras, questioning whether permission was given for the beef fest or not. There was no reply. There was no action taken whatsoever. Considering that the administration was given warnings about the volatile situation within the campus, did they fail to take heed? Did they fail to take action? It's another question that definitely needs to be answered by the administration, by the authorities at IIT Madras, Preeti.
All right, appreciate you joining us, Akshata. We're going to come back to you with the very latest on that. Meanwhile, let's immediately cut across to the latest at 6 p.m. All right, as protests peak across India, let's take a look at what, in fact, the government proposed. We're going to get down to that. But the latest is that 3 different courts have 3 different takes on the proposed cattle slaughter ban where the government comes in. At one end, the Madras High Court has heard the petition against the cattle ban, has stayed and said new rules banning sale for slaughter, has given the centre 4 weeks' time to reply. On the other hand, the Rajasthan High Court today has been completely contradictory, has sought life imprisonment for cow slaughter and actually wants to make the cow a national animal. Meanwhile, the Kerala High Court has supported in spirit what the Madras High Court said. The Kerala High Court has ruled that no ban on slaughter, selling or eating of beef, only bans cattle sale for slaughter in animal markets. So 3 different takes there. I want to connect to... All right, we're going to go across to Anusha in just a bit. But let's right now take a look at what the centre in fact proposed to do. The centre wanted new rules which were proposed on the functioning of animal markets in India, and what has been stated is to protect animals from cruelty. But a part of those rules is a clause that deals with sale only of cattle. Take a look at section 22 of the gazetted notification. Restriction on sale of cattle. It says that the Animal Market Committee shall ensure that cattle has not been brought to market for sale for slaughter. Moreover, the purchaser in this case of the cattle shall not sell the animal for purpose of slaughter. There has been a lot of state protest at the back of this. So, the Environment Ministry gave out a clarification. In a press note, the ministry insisted that the rules had nothing to do with what Indians eat. The prime focus of the regulation is to protect the animal from cruelty and not to regulate the existing trade in cattle for slaughterhouses. Let's come down to the loopholes in this information. For one, condition of slaughter of animals for food is allowed under the Parent Animal Cruelty Act, as long as there is no cruelty to the animal. So there is a clear disconnect between the Parent Animal Cruelty Act and the new amended one, prompting us to ask questions. Is the government attempting a proxy national beef ban under the garb of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act? And if prevention of cruelty is the main aim, then why restrict it to cattle only and not other animals? With Usman in Saldana, Preeti Chaudhary for India Today. Pertinent questions raised there. Let's take the debate further. Let me bring in Pawan Khera, spokesperson Congress. He's joining us live. We have Krishna Sagar Rao, spokesperson of the BJP. Before we go across to Mr. Khera, Mr. Sagar, one quick question. Now, you issue this notification. It clearly suggests that it is under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. That is why cattle should not go to slaughter. But it's interesting because let's go back to the Parent Act. And in that, it's very clear under conditions that an animal can be sent for slaughter if food is in question. So you're contradicting the old act.
No, I think the entire process has been misconstrued because of the jumping guns. The politics of opportunity and opportunism prevails more than the logic and the sensibility. See, any government which is elected has the right to make rules, regulations and acts and laws. And it is within the provision of that. Hello.
So have you amended that act, Mr. Rao?
Did you miss me?
Because the original Parent Act says that an animal can conditionally be sent for slaughter as long as it's used for food and no pain needs to be caused to that animal. Now this new act says that animal cannot be sent for slaughter because under the Prevention of Animal Cruelty Act. So you're saying you've amended the act?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm only saying you're actually looking it in two different contexts. Here the new law which talks about the animal markets and you're talking about the slaughter. They're two different things. Let's get it clear.
Okay.
Now, animal markets are not organized in India. This law is only trying to get animal markets recognized, organized, get the animal committees and the the selling and buying and the purchase and the entire process of the transaction and the way you deal with the cattle in the market yards. That's what the focus is. Now, your question is about slaughter. There is nothing
I'll
here
tell you exactly,
which
sir.
restricts
I've read this.
slaughter.
Sir, before you answer, let me pose the question again. I have read page to page.
Yeah.
I have read page to page this new notification by the Environment Ministry. I'd like you to refer to clause 22 of that. And it goes on to state, and which is in contradictory to your Parent Act, sir. That's why I'm asking you. So are you going back on that? Because they are two very contradictory terms.
Not at all. In fact, you have to understand this is progressive of the same act of 1960.
Okay.
And why I'm saying this is because your focus in, please let me complete. Your focus on that particular 22 section is about slaughter. And what the new regulation talks about is animal markets not selling the animals for slaughter. Please understand this distinction. It is not rocket science. It's not rocket science. See, the slaughter can happen otherwise than in the animal markets. Across the world in the animal markets, the farmers buy and sell milch cattle, bovines, for the farm and agricultural purposes. They, across the world, when the beef production happens, even in United States, the largest beef production country, the yards, the farms are the ones where the buying and selling happens.
Before I bring in Mr. Khera, I just wanted to answer two questions. Two questions,
Why
sir.
are you getting ahead of
are you going to, sir, because ultimately you're saying that the act, you've refined the act. I understand you've refined the act, then why limit it only to cattle? Why not other animals? Why is it that only cattle cannot go to slaughter in an open market? Secondly, when you're saying that, when you're talking about, you're not banning slaughtering, but just trying to regularize open markets, then the question comes into picture, sir, that if you are trying to do that, then in any case, why just the open market? Because most of these farmers actually go to an open market. Where else do they go? You're monopolizing it then in a hand of very few.
No, you're not getting the point, really. I mean, I can understand politicians not getting the point. I respect you a lot. What I'm trying to tell you is the regular purchase, the sale and purchase of animals for slaughter, animal markets of the farmers is not the place. But unfortunately, in India, we are not organized in terms of the slaughterhouses.
Okay.
The slaughterhouses have to buy it from the slaughterhouses have to buy it from the breeders. Like just how we buy it from the chicken farms, you have to buy it from the farms.
Wouldn't there be a monopoly? Wouldn't there be a monopoly is what I'm saying.
Which are for the agriculture purpose.
Wouldn't there be a monopoly?
So you have to.
The breeders are very few, sir.
No.
Everybody goes to an open market in this country. Let me bring in Pawan Khera. Mr. Khera, do you want to come in here?
No, you are not letting me finish. It's unfair if you don't let me finish.
Yes.
See, what I'm trying to tell is why are you presuming...
all right,
Mr.
complete,
Pawan,
Mr. Khera. Complete, Mr. Rao. We'll get Mr. Khera.
You want him to let him finish, or you want me to come in?
See, let Mr. Rao finish and make his point,
I'll leave it
Mr.
to Preeti. Preeti, in fact...
Yes.
Okay, sure.
No, Pawanji,
Yes, Mr.
let
Rao,
me finish.
complete.
Yeah, I'm only answering your question, Preeti, that you said why not other animals. Even in this particular regulation, we have camels and oxen, bull, buffalo, or hasters, everything.
If it is about,
but if you are talking about other animals, the other animals are not butchered.
But sir, if it is about prevention to cruelty, then why not other animals? Why just cattle?
No,
we're going to come back to this.
See, the other animals,
yes,
Preeti,
continue.
the other animals are not butchered on this scale. And why are you presuming the other animal list will also not come? It might come. Let's wait.
Okay. All right, as various states break out in protest at the back of a notification by the Environment Ministry which says that there could be curbs in cattle trade. A big question that has come to light is that is somewhere down the line the centre trying to make a proxy and trying to push a nationwide beef ban. I have Pawan Khera, spokesperson Congress, with us, and Krishna Sagar Rao, spokesperson of the BJP. Mr. Khera, with what we were talking with before the debate, what do you reckon, with the kind of contradictions at play, which Mr. Rao has tried to dispel, giving him the benefit of doubt, do you reckon somewhere down the line there's a concerted attempt for a nationwide beef ban?
Preeti, I think, I'm sorry, I have to admit that out of all the three people two on the panel and one you, I think you are the only one who understood it well. Both sides are a little confused about what exactly is this. The Sangh variety, the right wing, is, I think, celebrating a very premature celebration that there is a beef ban. There is nothing called a beef ban under this new amendment. Absolutely not. And the side which is opposing it has also misunderstood it. They are not banning beef. I don't think they are doing that. What they are doing, of course, is a very hurriedly put together amendment which does not include the birds, rare species of birds that come to these markets.
Right.
Mr. Rao, I don't think has ever been to an animal market or an animal fair. I have been to several. There are rare birds, there are cats, there are horses, and there are all kinds of dogs, different species of dogs. Why is this government not focusing on prevention of cruelty to all these other animals? Therefore, the intention is also very, very suspect. And if they are so concerned about protecting the cow, why aren't they regulating the slaughterhouses? And I'm afraid they are definitely trying to help lobbies and they're trying to monopolize the entire slaughterhouse business.
Which, Mr. Rao, do you want to come in? Because you know what you're going to...
absolutely. It strikes a deathly blow to the unorganized sector.
Yes. And Mr. Rao, that's the point. And what is actually been done is that it's more difficult actually now to rear cattle than to rear a child. And we're actually playing out those graphics. Reason enough. It's fraught with red tapeism. And if this actually comes into a law, sir, ultimately what we are looking at is that what about the unorganized industry where cattle farmers are concerned? And that is 80%. You're actually going to look at monopolizing this entire industry in the hands of just 20%, sir.
No, that's not the motive, but I, at the first cut, wish to welcome the clarification by Mr. Pawan Khera. I think he is the moderate lot from the Congress. But I did go to a lot of animal markets, and it is not as colorful as Pawan Khera ji would have seen. But having said that, the purpose of Bharatiya Janata Party government and the NDA government's regulation is not to monopolize. In fact, the other way around, it is to organize. It is to ensure the unorganized markets gets into an organized format, because just like how the poultry has been organized and the poultry farms, this just happened 20 years ago, and you know, we see how organized poultry farms today are, the pig farms, the poultry farms. I think if you know, a part of this population eats beef, which is perfectly fine, but you know, there are restricted animals there, like the cows are restricted, the calves are restricted, and this is not something which we have done. I think Pawanji knows that in 1964 we have an anti-cow slaughter law. We have the directives of state principles, which states in Article 48 that you know, what animals can be slaughtered and what animals cannot. So, no, what I'm trying to only say now is the states need to not get into cacophony like Mr. Vijayan is doing. One second, Mr. Pawan.
One at a time, sir. One at a time. Yes, Mr. Rao, can I get, with your permission, I'm getting in Mr. Khera. Yes, Mr. Khera.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Khera, go ahead. Quickly, sir.
There is also an Article 19 which protects people's right to livelihood. Why do they ignore that? And therefore their intention is suspect, therefore a lot of opposition, and therefore an unnecessary storm. I mean, this could have been avoided. How do you expect foreign investors to come into your country where you create disturbance at the drop of a hat?
Okay, we've got to take a break.
Why can't you come out and explain and communicate?
All right, gentlemen, we're going to take a break and we're going to come right back to this debate. And Mr. Rao, you know, you made a point there and you said that the attempt is actually the opposite. You want to, especially where the unorganized sector is concerned, where cattle farming, you want to help them. So what we actually did was, we went to the cattle farmers for a ground report, and maybe it will make all of us understand the ground reality a little more. We're going to come right back to it. Stay with us. Then the rhetoric and the protest concerning the beef ban, let's talk about something as kosher as the dairy industry. Let's not even get into beef. Let's not even get into hide leather. Let's talk about something as basic as dairy. Who stands to be the most affected if this proposal actually becomes a law? It is actually the dairy farmer. The centre's new ruling forbidding sale of cattle for slaughter at animal markets have yet to be enforced. But impact already being felt. Felt by those who claim to be the biggest stakeholders, the dairy farmers.
ये डेयरी फार्मर को ही सबसे बड़ा नुकसान है। तो इस तरीके से भैंस रख ही नहीं पाएंगे। अगर ये भैंस हमने जिस तरीके से बता रहे कि बंद करेंगे, इनका ब्यौरा देना पड़ेगा, लाने का, देने का, तो बस तो हम इसी काम के रह जाएंगे और बाकी क्या करेंगे।
आखिरी सवाल, जैसे क्योंकि अब जो कागजी है, जो कागजी कार्रवाई है वो बहुत हो गई है। अगर आप जैसे बेचेंगे, खरीदेंगे, उसमें आपको लगता है कि जो आम डेयरी फार्मर हैं वो कर पाएगा ये सब?
ये नहीं कर पाएगा। ज्यादातर इसमें साक्षर लोग हैं ही नहीं, सब अनपढ़ लोग हैं ज्यादा, उन्हें दिक्कत होगी, उन्हें फुर्सत ही नहीं है।
क्या लगता है कि जो अभी जो भैंसें हैं, अगर उनको नहीं बेच पाएंगे, जो पुरानी भैंसें हैं जो खत्म हो गई हैं, जो दूध नहीं देंगी, उन्हें नहीं बेच पाएंगे, तो उनका क्या होगा?
बस वो फिर छोड़नी पड़ेंगी, कौन खिलाएगा? रोड पे छोड़ेंगे, रोड पे फिरेंगी खाली खुलती, वरना कुछ ना कुछ इंतजाम करा जाए इनका। अब काम इस तरीके से तो काम ही नहीं कर सकते हम, कैसे काम करेंगे? इसे काम ही बंद करना पड़ जाएगा।
A ban such as this completely disrupts the cattle rearing ecosystem. A dairy farmer purchases a buffalo for about 1 lakh, depending on the milk giving capacity. Once a buffalo becomes infirm, he sells it for about 40 to 50,000. Then he uses the same money to buy new stock. All of this ban will totally disrupt this chain of economy.
इन्होंने इसे क्या पता किस चीज़ से जोड़ के गवर्नमेंट देख रही है, पर्यावरण वाले क्या सोच के चल रहे हैं। भैंस का तो अंत ही ये होता है कि भैंस ठीक ठाक भैंस दूध देती है, बहुत अच्छी बात है। जो भैंस कंडम हो जाती है, ख़राब हो जाती है, पुनः स्लॉटर हाउस चला जाती है वो, तो उससे डेयरी व्यवसाय का आधा धंधा इसी तरह चलता है। और हमारे आप सरदना में देखिए, आप सरदना में कम से कम 25,000 के लगभग भैंसें हमारे छोटे छोटे व्यवसाय को 20 भैंस है, किसी 50 है, किसी के 100 हैं, और काफ़ी लोग इससे जुड़े हुए हैं। 300 करोड़ रुपए का टर्नओवर जो है हमारे सरदना में दूध के कारोबार से है। 2 लाख लीटर दूध पर डे यहाँ पैदा होता है। क्या होगा इस कारोबार का? सब व्यवसायी, जब से गवर्नमेंट ने अभी 3-4 दिन से पहले जब से सुन रहे हैं, तो सभी जितने भी जो है डेयरी फार्म वाले हैं या भैंस पालने वाले हैं, इस चीज़ को सोच रहे हैं क्या ये मोदी जी का वही संदेश है कि आने वाले 22 तक किसान की आय दुगनी कर देंगे। मेरे ख्याल से दुगनी तो नहीं, हाँ हमें हमारे बच्चों को फकीरी लाइन पे जरूर ला देंगे इस हाल में। क्या करेंगे हम, क्या कारोबार करेंगे? इतना लंबा इस कारोबार में जुड़ा हुआ है, तबका जुड़ा हुआ है, एक लेबर जुड़ी हुई है, चारा लाने वाले हैं। इतना लंबा पीछे तक चला आ रहा है कि एक भैंस वाले के पीछे 200, 300 आदमी काम करते चले हैं।
Cattle is an integral part of farm economics. Post the milking, the sale of meat, the sale of skin and bones keeps this cattle economy churning, keeping it going. A ban such as this will ultimately make farming, where dairy is concerned, unviable, and the price will be paid by the dairy farmer. With Usman in Saldana, Preeti Chaudhary for India Today.
All right, I want to connect to Mr. Khera and Mr. Rao, who's with us for this debate. Mr. Rao, I hope at least you had the audio of this ground report there. Now, this is the unorganized sector that you're talking about. This is the unorganized sector that you're talking about, sir, that you want to, that this report, this affidavit of yours, this notification of yours is going to help. How is that even possible?
Yeah, it's a good report, but I wish you also should have visited the regular farmers, not just the dairy farmers who are commercially into dairy farming, and they should regularize. I mean, see, how long shall an unorganized system of commerce work? I think if India has to grow, it has to organize its markets. And today, if I'm having
what is the way to go? Shouldn't we go from the grassroots level? Okay, all right, maybe this is a different debate. Let me come down to you in one question. What about leaving buffaloes out of the ambit of this particular notification? Is that going to happen? Because if this doesn't happen, then one can safely say you have, with a single stroke, made the dairy industry unviable.
No, we just cannot say it, Preeti. I think we have to sometimes rise above the petty interpretations politicians make. Because
statistics. Your government statistics.
It is not.
I'll give you, all right. Do you want me to quote some statistics that your government has given, sir?
Let me answer.
Yes.
Preeti, you asked me a question. Let me answer.
Yes, sir.
See, what I'm saying is the Article 17 of our Constitution with the list 15, which is for the states. States have the independence within the framework of Article 48 and the regulation to reframe by using the legislatures. So this is a macro guidance. This is a macro guideline by the central government to organize animal markets, because just because we are unorganized and people are happy with it doesn't mean that you disrupt for progress.
No.
Yeah.
This argument is totally flawed. Mr. Khera, do you want to come in there?
You can feel that way,
no,
but
I don't
this
feel
is
that
the
way. I'll
truth.
give you statistics,
the cacophony,
sir. No, I'll give you statistics and I'll tell you why this argument is flawed. Mr. Khera, yes, go ahead, sir.
The cacophony is unwarranted and it is out of ignorance. No, the opposition parties are talking.
Mr. Rao, let Mr. Khera come. Yes, Mr. Khera.
Mr. Rao, the intention of this half-baked notification was to generate this cacophony. I am sure this was the intention, because there is no other logic behind this notification. You can't expect people to rise above their livelihoods. And livelihood is definitely not a petty concern. It's not a petty concern. Then why aren't you in favor of preventing cruelty to other animals? Now that's my concern. Therefore the hypocrisy, and therefore we need to point out at the hypocrisy, and instead of getting into a cacophonous debate.
All right, Mr. Rao, let me ask you a question, sir, because I have...
What was the intention of this?
Right.
I'm sorry, if the intention was prevention, you would have included other animals.
Right.
And if the intention was primarily
Mr. Rao,
beef,
okay, Mr. Khera, Mr. Rao, let me ask you one question, sir. Because, I've come prepared for this. Let me ask you one question. Where the dairy farming is concerned, do you know, sir, what is the unorganized sector percentage of India?
No, it could be more. It could be more than the organized, obviously.
No, it is way more than the organized, sir. It's over 73%. No. So you're taking away the livelihood of 73% of your dairy farmers. Now, sir, do you know what could be the yearly output of the dairy industry in India?
Preeti, why don't you look at the other way? What did Mr. Kurian do to the dairy farming industry by
if you are impacting 73% of your trade, where dairy farming is concerned,
Preeti, you asked me a question, let me answer.
It's a death knell for them.
Preeti, you asked me a question, let me answer.
Yes.
Yeah. See, we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. You are looking at from the prism of how we are unsettling, and I am looking at from the prism, positive prism of how we are settling things.
Sir, these are Shakespearean terms. We're only looking. I think we all should only look at
You're not allowing me to
from
speak
the
again.
prism of reality.
You're not allowing me to speak again.
But sir, make your point. Tell me.
When we did...
Sir, tell me something. Will buffaloes be excluded?
When we did...
Will buffaloes be excluded? It's something that you're
obstructing me at every level.
It's something you're mulling over.
No, I'm not mulling over. I'm straight away answering your question. See, yes. I'm saying when we did demonetization, you said it is disruption, it will create havoc, but it didn't. It organized. It increased the taxes, it increased the capital in the banks.
So cannot be drawn here.
The same thing.
These analogies cannot be drawn here. So let's just, like I said, let's not make analogies. Let's not get into poetry and proses. Let's look at it very clearly from the prism of ground reality. Over 73%.
That is what I am trying to tell you. If you don't make laws with courage, you don't make laws with courage to even disrupt.
You're quoting the Constitution. I can tell you in 4 counts how.
Organize this industry.
No, sir. You're quoting the Constitution. I can tell you in 4 counts how. This is completely unconstitutional.
I mean, are you and me having a debate? I mean, please understand. You asked me a question. Let me answer. You're not allowing me to answer at all.
All right, sir,
and it doesn't go well to the people. We are on a national television. Now, what I'm trying to tell you, Preeti, is that if you do not make laws to reorganize your nation, and you only talk about 75 being unorganized, so shall we leave it like that? Shall we leave the unorganized sector like that or not organized? Maybe if we organize, more people will be benefited. More poor people can get into organized farming. And more consumption of whatever we are talking about can also happen if we organize. And why are we so rattled when we have opportunities which are provided by Constitution to ban? We don't need to find a shortcut. We will come from the main highway if we have to ban what we have to ban.
Sir, we're going to go into a break.
There is a ban.
All right.
There is already a ban.
Why are we so rattled?
What are we
trying to organize an unorganized sector. Why are we so rattled? I'll tell you why we are so rattled, sir. So the big question now is, what's the way forward? Should the government concede that they maybe have gotten it all wrong, go back to the drawing board, come up with a fresh draft of notifications? Or was the actual intent to cause the confusion and the following cacophony? Let me bring in Pawan Khera and Mr. Rao from the BJP, Pawan Khera from the Congress are with us. Mr. Khera, what's the way forward? What advice would you give the government right now?
My advice would be that focus on governance instead of politics. And only then will you be able to stop these divisive debates and decisions which trigger unnecessary divisions in the society. Nobody gets anything out of it. So please focus on governance. Come back with a new notification. Take all the stakeholders from the dairy industry, for example, just get them on board. Come up with a fresh notification. There is no harm taking a step backwards because you don't achieve anything. The country doesn't achieve anything. In fact, sectors which really need regularization are just being left aside, and you're just focusing on debates which suit you politically. You know, the Game of Thrones, they say that chaos is not a pit, but it's a ladder. Now, don't use chaos as a ladder. Because the country is going down.
Point made.
That difference Mr. Modi will have to make.
All right. Point made, Mr. Khera. Mr. Rao.
See, our government's agenda is reform, transform, perform. We are reforming every area of this country through laws and through removal of some laws and enacting some laws. So that's what exactly this government is doing. There are 3 motives. Number 1 is to reduce cruelty to animals and to protect their rights. Number 2 is to ensure that the unorganized sectors are organized because there is rights violation and of employees and also the animals in unorganized sector. Number 3, and primarily, is to support poor and single farmers. Farmers who are very poor and retail farmers who have 2-3 acres, they sell the cattle for distress. The distress sale is happening, and just because in the animal market the slaughterers are sitting there, they rip the farmers out. And once the link is gone with the cattle, their secondary income is messed, and that is why the suicides are happening in this country at this level. So we are supporting the farming community. We are trying to organize the unorganized sector, and we are trying to ensure the animal rights are protected in this country. Our government is extremely clear. We don't need to recall anything.
Gentlemen, I hope both of you have made your points. That's the end of this debate. But